Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of anywhere else? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of Undisputed, because apparently they're the only network, the only show that wants to talk about OKC. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me, quite honestly, that all these other shows, whether it be The Herd or First Things First, First Take. I'm sure maybe they do like some clips on them, but like the lack of talk around OKC is mind blowing to me. I was talking to someone in the comments earlier about this, but Joe, his name is, although I think he changed his name recently on YouTube, but I'm not sure. Or at least he changed his profile picture. Doesn't matter. But he was saying it's because, OKC doesn't have the same level of star power. Like people are still talking about Dallas Mavericks because Luka and Kyrie are kind of bigger names than what OKC has. And I get that. I grant that to be true. But OKC is the number one seed. And their game against the New Orleans Pelicans, the first game, was hands down one of the most exciting games I have seen all year. No doubt in my mind. I don't care who they were playing. It was so exciting. And it was awesome. And now this game, and again, I grant that the Pelicans don't really have a big fighting chance, especially with Zion down. But even this other game, when they rolled the Pelicans, it was still done in a way that was pure basketball. They played so well, so beautiful. The ball movement was so great. Chet looks amazing. SGA, effortless. And especially, he looks effortless. And he's a smaller guy. And it is always interesting to see some of these more smaller, thinner guys, be able to ball out like SGA can. And then you have these other guys that a lot of people don't really know who they are outside of, again, the big basketball diehards that are balling out. And I just think, again, and also the fans, I watch all the games, and you can get a good feel for the fans through the broadcast. And actually, the loudest fans that I heard out of any of them was actually the Sacramento Kings, especially versus the Golden State Warriors. I mean, that was wild how loud they were. And OKC seems to, replace them now that the Kings are out. So it's just great, fun, exciting basketball to watch. And no one's talking about it because everyone also is under the absolute assumption that whoever faces OKC in the next round is going to beat them. And I reject that. I understand OKC is young. I get that. And I have constantly talked about how hard it is to win when you're younger, even giving younger players excuses as to why they haven't had success, whether it be Jason Tatum, whether it be, Giannis, whether it be Jokic, SGA, Maxey, it's like when you're 22, 23, 24, 25, Anthony Edwards, Ant, it's hard to win. And so I'm going slightly back against that. I mean, I'm not pushing back against what my, the heart of my opinion is, but this team feels so complete that out of all the young teams to be able to do it, I would not be shocked if this team can do it. The one big problem is that SGA is smaller, and I think it will always be harder to lead a team when you're a little bit smaller. It's why historically the bigger guys who have always been able to really be able to take over games and win consistently, stay healthier. LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. It's just harder when you're a little bit smaller, especially come time playoffs. It's why we've even seen Steph Curry struggle at times, James Harden famously, of course. It's just harder when you're a little bit smaller because it just gets more physical. You're not getting the same amount of fouls. It's not to say that I don't think SGA can't succeed. Allen Iverson carried the Sixers on his back to the NBA Finals. It's just a harder task. I don't think anyone can really dispute that. But then you have it bounced out with like a Chet Holmgren, which to me is a really fascinating, 1-2 there. So I just don't know why we're so quick to write off OKC. They're the number one seed. They're obviously great. Yes, they're young, but they have elite talent and they play together as a team. So you know, I'm really interested to see what happens moving forward. But let's see what these guys have to say, and we'll break it down from there.
Thunder dominated the Pelicans, albeit without Zion. But Thunder 124, Pels 92 was impressive nonetheless. This team did finish first in the West, though it is the youngest one seed ever. So, Michael Irvin, how big a threat is the Thunder to win the postseason West?
And when I watch this team, I'm going to tell you, I love watching them. And
this is the problem with this show, because we're asking Michael Irving, what do you think about this? And it's like, what the heck does he know? And then they're going to ask Keyshawn Johnson. It's like, what the heck does he know? At the very least, bring up Paul Pierce, who I'm not saying is, like, the best guy either, but, like, at the same time, like, did Michael Irvin even watch this game? Probably not.
I love how even they handle the post-game interviews.
I do too.
All of those guys come together.
Always.
Man. It's so cool to watch that, and it reminds me of those old Patriots when they walked out on the Rams, all together in a group like that.
He's already
coming
connecting it to football.
Can they go and win the whole West? Here's the difference. What I love, because I used to watch Golden State. And Golden State moved that ball around so much. Man, this is great. See how they pass the ball, and they kick that ball back out and drop the three. I've never seen a team like OKC. I was telling people, this team will give up 5 layups for another layup. It's almost like everybody on the team is trying to become the team. They got a bet to see who's going to end with the most assists. Yep. Not the most points, the most assists. Because they play together and they play so unselfishly. It's great to see them play. But it's going to come back down the stretch. Playing late, great. And when I look at it, it's the experience that Denver has of playing great late over this young team. And the way Denver plays, because Denver moved up.
So you just automatically just assume Denver.
I'm just asking, can they win all of the West?
Yeah, but you just automatically assume Denver.
Dude, I know you ain't talking about the Lakers.
I'm just saying you automatically assuming Denver, whether it's the Lakers or not.
Well, ultimately, to come out of the West, you're going to have to beat Denver. And ultimately, I believe it'll come down to these two teams right here. This young team will have an opportunity, and it's how they play late as the game get more and more pressurized. Because each series, like I used to say, each level brings a new devil. And you got to learn how to conquer that devil. I think they'll conquer this first-level devil, but then when they see the Mavericks, when you start stepping up in that competition, or the Clippers, I'll give you that key, then things may go different. But I believe when you get to Denver, that late great Denver will top you out. And that's why I think it'll be tough for them to win the whole West, but I love the way they play, and they got a shot to get deep in the West.
They'll beat the Pelicans. They'll beat the Pelicans. No Zion, no chance. The Pelicans didn't win a quarter last night.
I feel bad for Zion.
They didn't win a quarter, Skip. Yep. They lost every single quarter. The second quarter, it was even 28-28.
But game one went to the wire.
The game one went to the wire. But that was my first arrival in the play. You know, it was like, okay, I'm here. This is a playoff victory, a game that we hadn't had in a long time.
Yada, 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 yada. People expecting things from us now.
It was a little bit different. I don't know how far they go because of the depth. When you get out of the 5, the starters, so to speak, you now have a major.
That's all great teams. The Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat back with LeBron. Like, your bench gets shorter and shorter and shorter in the playoffs. Depth does not actually matter come time playoffs. Regular season, yes. Playoffs, not so much. The starters play long minutes. That's the whole point. And the bench gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So, it doesn't even matter.
Drop off on their bench. You just have a major drop off.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think
how could you not? How could you not? Who gonna help them? Gordon Hayward?
No, Isaiah Joe is serious.
Oh, so Isaiah Joe's gonna help them.
The other Jalen Williams is a top-level defender, the one that ends in IN. And Gordon Hayward has been there and done some of this, so he will come off the bench and help. And they got
Gordon Hayward ain't helped them. Ain't helped them at all. Yeah. You thought he because of his name.
He will as we get deeper.
You thought because of his name, and I understand you like OKC, but the lack of depth for me, when I look at this, could be a problem when you start facing these other teams. When you start looking at, and let's just assume it is Denver, whatever. They don't have the same level. And they're young, and
I
it's
still
Denver.
question Denver's bench occasionally.
I was
That's
about
not
to say,
what it was last year.
Denver doesn't have a bench. They have one guy off the bench who they can, truly rely on. Listen, I think at the end of the day, Denver would end up winning the series. I think it would be definitely a fun series, but Denver has the perfect combination of youth, players in their prime, and now true championship winning championship. I think I said championship true winning, experience, which matters, which is what OKC doesn't have. I think OKC can absolutely beat the Clippers. I think they absolutely will beat the Dallas Mavericks if they play them. I think the Clippers, to me, is more of a wild card if they play the Clippers, because if James Harden, PG-13, and Kawhi are all healthy, ready to go, and playing at the top of their game, I think that'll be a hard trio, because these are all now bona fide experienced veterans that I think that they could take advantage of a younger team. I do not think Dallas Mavericks have that ability, because they have their young players that have no experience, and I don't trust Luka. Luka doesn't have the maturity, and Kyrie, is weak-minded. So I don't think that he could face any adversity or the onslaught that potentially OKC could throw their way. I think OKC would probably beat the Timberwolves as well. I know these are not always, definite matchups that would happen, and I think that the OKC would also beat the Suns as well. So I think really the only chance that the two really tough series for OKC is the Clippers, and I think the Denver Nuggets. But I think at the end of the day, the Denver Nuggets probably win, although watching how close these games are with the Denver Nuggets versus the Lakers makes me feel that OKC has a true chance at winning. If SGA is on fire and they have Chet, Holmgren is holding his own. He is absolutely holding his own. I know he's tall and thin, and so it looks like you could just body him. He's a tough dude. He's a lot tougher than I thought he was. He can stand his ground. So I would not be so quick to count them out, even against Denver. It's very easy to say, oh, well, Denver's of course going to win. Again, if you forced me to say you have to pick right now, obviously I would like to see how the rest of these series and the rest of these games, unfold to make my opinion. But if I had to pick right now, I would lean towards Denver because of the reasons that I've already laid out. But I just don't understand why everyone is so quick to cast OKC aside. SGA is for real. Holmgren is for real. Isaiah Joe is for real. He's making all his open shots. I understand he's not a superstar. I get it. But you need all of those other various role players. And granted, right now we saw them play at home, and all of those players always play better at home. So, of course, I want to be able to see them in New Orleans, see how they go. I don't know if OKC is necessarily going to sweep this series, so I wouldn't be shocked if they lose, if they go down, if they win 2-1, if the series goes to 2-1. That wouldn't necessarily change my opinion. Just like if the Nuggets lose game, tonight, or whenever you're watching this, the, game 3 for the Lakers, that wouldn't shock me. And I wouldn't say, oh my God, Denver's in trouble now. It's just, it's hard to win 4 games in a row like that, no matter who you are. So, I really don't. It is interesting to me how quick people are to count out OKC. And I really think that the Clippers, especially if they're healthy, will beat the Dallas Mavericks. But if not, then a part of me is excited at the idea that OKC can play Dallas, because I think when you watch a team like Dallas, you can see how they are not a real team. It's definitely just Luka and Kyrie, and especially more Luka. And then you watch a team like the Thunder, and that's why they do remind you of the Warriors to a degree. They're definitely not the Warriors, because what made the Warriors truly the Warriors was Steph Curry and then Klay Thompson. And so the shooting was just an onslaught. So even though they played such beautiful basketball where the ball was always in motion, the players were always in motion, all of that, they had the perfect construction of players that allowed this all to happen, with the just most amazing shooting of Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, that it just made it absolutely, unstoppable. That OKC, no matter how good they are, that is not them. But I do think that they would still beat up the Dallas Mavericks in that regard, because they play faster, they play smoother, they're more mature, they're younger, and OKC is more mature. To me, that is why I think that they are young, but they are an old young team, or a young old team, however you want to phrase it. The maturity of OKC, I find pretty remarkable, really remarkable. And so to me, that's why I think that OKC definitely has a legitimate chance at making some moves come, deep into the playoffs. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think the Thunder can win the West? What about, the Clippers versus Mavs, or, Denver Nuggets? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, as I said, and please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community, and I really, 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 really would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.